Mr. George Martin, the Deputy Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Federal Confederation of the Swiss Government, Mr. Marco Muller, the Acting Director General of the United Nations Office in Geneva, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Fijian Ambassador to Switzerland and the United Nations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Bolonaka, bonjour, and a very good morning to you all. I'm delighted to be with you all in the heart of Europe for a very special occasion, the opening of Fiji's first United Nations mission in Geneva and our first embassy in Switzerland. Given our strong relationship with the UN over the years, the establishment of this office is not only important for Fiji's interests, but is arguably long overdue. Geneva is a unique and very special city, the main European base of the United Nations and home to 32 international organizations. Many of these are specialized agencies of the UN, including the World Trade Organization and the International Labour Organization, both of them important institutions for Fiji and Fijians. Geneva also plays host to some 250 non-governmental organizations, including the International Federation of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent Society. So in global terms, this is an extremely important center. And Fiji has long needed to be in a better position to engage with these agencies and NGOs, to develop closer relations with them, benefit from their expertise, avail ourselves to the range of services they offer. This is not a one-way street, however. While we have much to gain, we also have much to contribute. And with our presence here, we will clearly be in a better position to have our own views heard and contribute directly in these various forums, to add to the global debate as a thriving and increasingly influential Pacific small island state. Indeed, Fiji is now the only Pacific small island developing state with a direct presence in Geneva. We will not only fly our flag here in Geneva, but also that of our Pacific Island brothers and sisters. Instead of being a visitor to Geneva, Fiji is now a resident. And we have an especially articulate voice to contribute in the form of our new representative and ambassador, Madame Nazat Shamim, a former High Court judge and one of our most distinguished citizens. I wish her every success as she embarks on a new mission. In addition to forging stronger relationships with the UN agencies, Fiji plans to forge a new and strong relationship with Switzerland. Like Fiji, Switzerland is a country of great natural beauty, though naturally of a different sort. We of course have our 300 plus islands. You have the breathtaking vistas of the Swiss Alps, and I was extremely fortunate yesterday to be able to witness some of this staggering natural beauty up close. And I'd like to take this opportunity to invite the people of Switzerland to come to Fiji, to witness our own natural beauty close up, our islands, our beaches, and a host of attractions, and to experience the famed hospitality of our people. Our tourism slogan is Fiji, where happiness finds you. But when you visit us, you will soon learn that it is less a slogan, more a way of life, as we increasingly share the Fijian experience in the rich diversity of our various cultures with the rest of the world. Switzerland, of course, is also famed for its neutrality, the strength and courage to resist being dragged into other people's conflicts, to pursue policies that are principled and are in the best interests of its own people. The position of neutrality is not one of weakness. On the contrary, it takes greater strength to resist the pressure of those who are economically stronger or who have bigger defense forces. It takes greater strength to ensure that policy is driven by what is just and fair. This is the stance that Fiji seeks to emulate, not least through our membership of the non-aligned movement. Our own staunchly independent foreign policy operates on the fundamental principle of being friends to all and enemies to none. So in this, the Fijian people have common cause with the people of Switzerland. And today, we open this mission in the hope that the ties that already bind us become closer and we can work together for the advancement of the values and principles we share. Fiji is looking to expand its trading relationship with Switzerland in particular, and Europe in general. And we look forward to canvassing these opportunities in the months and years ahead. Our Fijian-made initiative is a comprehensive program to market the full range of quality goods and services Fijians produce, from talented village artisans to boutique producers in our expanding collection of global brands. We want brand Fiji to be a byword for quality the world over, just as it is for brand Switzerland. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to formally thank the Swiss government for its generous assistance in helping Fiji to set up this mission. We have been struck not only by the renowned Swiss efficiency in the way that assistance has been delivered, but with the warmth that has been shown to our delegations. As we say in Fiji, "Winaka bagaleo." In the case of the United Nations, our relationship grows stronger by the year. My government has adopted the notion of service to others as its overriding principles. Service to our own people at home and service to the people of other lands abroad. And our main avenue of service is our proud contribution over the more than 3 decades of United Nations peacekeeping missions around the world. We have 500 Republic of Fiji military forces personnel currently serving in the United Nations Disengagement Observer Force in the Golan Heights. Syria, 328 in the Multinational Force and Observers in Sinai, 195 in the United Nations Assistant Minister for Iraq, and 15 in the United Nations Mission in South Sudan. There are 20 in the United Nations Mission in Darfur in Sudan, and 23 in the United Nations Mission in Liberia, all of them protecting vulnerable ordinary people in volatile areas of conflict. Every Fijian is extremely proud of these men and women whose skill, courage, and discipline, wisdom, and restraint is highly valued by the United Nations and is setting a global example of the highest standard. We will always be there to serve the international community as best as we can, and especially the ordinary men and women and children, far from our own islands, who look to us for protection. This is Fiji's promise to the world. We are also serving in a variety of other UN roles. Our permanent representative in New York currently chairs the governing body of the United Nations Development Program Fiji. Fiji, until recently, through the Minister for Communications, has been the Vice Chair of the Telecommunications Development Advisory Group at the International Telecommunications Union. Fiji has also been given a role of evaluating other countries in relation to their obligations under the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. And as Fiji's Prime Minister, I had the honor and privilege last year to chair the G77 plus China, the biggest voting bloc at the UN. Fiji takes its obligations and responsibilities to the United Nations as a member state very seriously. This is especially so in the development of substantive, fundamental human rights. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is a momentous year for Fiji as we approach the first genuinely democratic election in our nation's history on September the 17th. For the first time, this election will be conducted on the universal democratic principle of equal votes of equal value instead of the skewed system employed in the past. For the first time, every citizen will go to cast their votes as a Fijian, a common and equal citizenry, sharing the same name and enjoying equal political, economic, and social rights, while recognizing the special place of our indigenous people. Every Fijian will have equal access to substantive justice, no matter who they are. Last year, we reset our national compass, the historic new constitution, including a Bill of Rights, which is arguably one of the strongest in the world. In addition to civil and political rights, this constitution guarantees Fijians access to a range of social and economic rights, most of them for the first time. Ordinary people now enjoy guarantees of free education, adequate housing and health care, social security, clean water, and a clean environment. They also have a right to economic participation. The Constitution also, for the first time, protects the rights of disabled Fijians. All these rights are not only enforceable through such bodies as the Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Commission, the Legal Aid Commission, and the judiciary. These rights cannot be taken away. So we are in the throes of a human rights revolution in Fiji, one which upholds the basic rights of ordinary people in a way that has never been the case before. We are also increasing access to justice for ordinary people, such things as access to the courts and their rights to a fair trial, by increasing the budget of the Legal Aid Commission and by opening a string of legal aid offices across the country. My government is not only is committed not only to developing these rights, but looks forward to a healthy jurisprudence emerging from Fiji, which can serve as a guide to other countries considering the inclusion of social and economic rights in their own constitutions and subordinate laws. The old arguments against the development of social and economic rights as enforceable rights, that the judiciary should not make judgments which have resource implications and are in interference with the executive power, are, in my view, no longer valid in Fiji. Our courts have been making important judgments in the development of civil and political human rights for some time. Almost all these judgments have had resource implications, whether it was in the building of a new remand center in accordance with the United Nations minimum standard rules for the treatment of prisoners, or whether it was to order the state to provide legal aid for defendant in the treason trial. Almost all human rights cases have resource implications, whether the rights are civil and political or social and economic. And including all such social and economic rights in our Constitution, Fiji has shown commitment to the substantive development of individual rights and freedoms in our country. I say substantive because I and my government believe that rights are only meaningful if they are able to cut across bureaucracy, cultural barriers, and institutional weakness to make a real difference to the rights of individuals. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have been determined all along to create a more equal society in Fiji, a more just society, one in which every citizen enjoys the same opportunity. I firmly believe that true equality is the foundation stone of genuine democracy. And so we have demolished entrenched privilege and laid that foundation of equality on which our nation can be rebuilt. One nation, one Fiji, with opportunity and justice for all. For the first time on September 17th, every Fijian will go to the polls as an equal, their vote worth precisely the same as any other citizen. And they will have the same rights and with it, the same dignity. We have also ensured that the election process itself is completely independent, with an independent electoral commission and an elections office with dedicated staff to organize and conduct the one-day poll. This is instead of the previous practice of using civil servants to conduct the elections, a process that was open to abuse. And we have reached overseas to recruit a team of international experts to avoid some of the fraud and mismanagement that marred previous elections in Fiji. To ensure that ordinary Fijian voters fully understand the process, Fiji has embarked on a massive campaign of voter education. More than 550,000 voters have so far registered using the new electronic system. And we have sent teams to those parts of the world where there are known to be large numbers of Fijians living to include them in the election process. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the stage is being set for a truly historic event in the life of our nation on September 17, the introduction of our first genuine democracy. It goes hand in hand with the plethora of basic human rights that no Fijian has ever enjoyed before. In the midst of this revolution, I am proud to be launching our first United Nations mission in Geneva, a symbol of our commitment to the UN ideal and the rights of every Fijian. And now I have great pleasure in declaring it open. Merci beaucoup.